Are we going to see real change and a restoration of some credibility? Will people go to jail for the things that were happening?
I certainly hope so. I think that the level of corruption that went on, particularly, and I can speak more personally about the Russia witch hunt because I was there during that process and during that time, and the level of corruption and the lengths to which people went to try to take the president down are unprecedented. And I think Bill Barr has done a great job of coming in and really moving that forward. I'm not sure if he hadn't come in, if we wouldn't still be in the middle of the Mueller investigation. He helped bring that to a
Hmm.
conclusion. He helped get that information out and a summary very quickly, fully exonerating and vindicating the president from that absurd 2-year waste of taxpayer time and resources to bring us to where we are now. And again, I remain hopeful that we see the people that were responsible and people who truly have played a role in the corruption held accountable at some point.
I'm concerned again with with where we are as a country and the media and everything else. And I have been watching for the tools of revolution for a long time, since 2006. I started really researching revolution and coups and everything else. And they have captured everything now that is needed, except the military. But if you notice, they are now trying to separate the military from the president. They're trying to, you were there in France. The latest story is that, he called fallen soldiers losers, et cetera, et cetera. They were all anonymous sources. You were there. Tell me what happened.
Well, not only was I there and I've spoken out on the record, but I think 11 other people who were also on that trip have come out on the record and talked about not
Include
just that day, but their overall experience
Right.
with the president. I think the people who are making this outrageous charge are such cowards for doing so in an anonymous way. If you really believe this and believe it was wrong, one, why did it take you so long? And two, put your name on it the way the rest of us have. I was there that day. I was part of the discussion about the president's movements and the logistics. And he didn't say those things. But not only was I there that day, Glenn, I spent 2.5 years traveling all over the world with the president, watching him interact with men and women of our armed forces almost every single day during that 2.5 year period. I watched him sit in the Oval Office and make condolence calls to families. I watched the emotional toll that took on the president. In those moments, I saw his heart. I saw a person who doesn't normally show vulnerability show some. I watched when we traveled and we were going to do a fuel stop at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were coming back from Asia, and we were going to be on the ground, I think, about 2 hours. And the president said, "Oh, well, let's get off the plane and say hi to the troops." And they said, "Well, Mr. President, it'll be 2 o'clock in the morning because it's a military base. You mean to tell me nobody's working at 2 o'clock in the morning?"
Mm.
He said, "If we get off, we see 10 people, we see 10 people. But we'll see who's on duty. We'll say hello, we'll thank them. But we're not landing at a military base and not saying hi to the troops." When we landed at that military base, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of troops that had come out in the freezing cold in a hangar at 2 o'clock in the morning to see the president. And we ended up staying for a long time. He went all the way up and down the rope line, shaking hands, taking pictures, making remarks before we got back on the plane and headed home. This is a person who loves America and loves the people who allow the rest of us to live in America free and have prosperity. And I got to see that a lot. And I think it is shameful that people are trying to distort who he is and what he has done, particularly when it comes to the men and women of our military.